back again. Your eyes and ears don't lie. And waking up to some more nonsense today. Not that I'm surprised, but you're looking at all this craziness that's going on, which has been instigated by the Trump administration in Los Angeles. Well, you dispatched the National Guard illegally since the governor did not request that. You dispatched them illegally, violating all kind of laws in the Constitution. You talking about mobilizing and sending out Marines on U.S. soil without the Insurrection Act? And this should worry every citizen, regardless of party, regardless of race, because this trampling over our Constitution and laws, it can affect you too. So the first thing they want to say is if you are against this, you support illegal immigration. That's a damn lie, and stop trying to gaslight everybody. Immigration has been a problem for decades. It's been a problem for decades, 80s, 90s. It's been a problem. And y'all had no problem with all these people building your country, cooking your food, cleaning your houses, doing your landscaping. But now it's a problem? And these lies you're telling, yes, there are criminals coming in, but there are criminals coming in from every country. There's criminals coming in from all ethnicities. Because if we want to talk about crime, crime is crime, right? Or is it only important when you can pin it on brown people? Of course, you're going to catch certain people if you make it a point to go after certain groups. And that's with all crime. You don't police wealthy neighborhoods or affluent neighborhoods the same way you police poor ones. But crime goes on everywhere. I've always lived in affluent neighborhoods. And there's always been shit going on there, but you just don't see the cops cruising around there. They don't drive through Forest Ranch unless called, or on the way to go hang out at the shopping center in Panera. Because there ain't no donut shops in Forest Ranch except for Donut Touch. And y'all say they charge too much, so y'all don't really hang out over there. Y'all sit in the substation and do nothing. Drive around looking busy, leave a running car in the shopping center. I lived in Torrey Hills. Same thing. There's a crime going on there. Cars getting broken into, home invasions, little robbery, burglary type stuff. But y'all ain't driving around there. You only come when you called. You don't even sit around there and write traffic tickets or anything like that. Live in Scripps Ranch, same thing. There's crime going on, but you ain't attempting. You'd rather not bother those people unless you have to or when you called. But lower income areas, oh, you make it a point to be having a high visual appearance there, and you're actively looking for something. It's like traffic stops and things like that. You go to any intersection, anywhere in the country, and essentially find people breaking the law on their cell phones, rolling stops, all of that. But you ain't looking in certain neighborhoods. So if you make it a point not to arrest certain people, you're not gonna arrest certain people. You're not gonna stop certain people. So this illegal mobilization in Los Angeles is something everyone should be worrying about. Because he can do it here, he can do it anywhere. And he'll do it to you if it benefits him. So all you red states, you Trump supporters, just get in a situation where he thinks it benefits him, and you're gonna be in the same boat. It ain't about whether you support immigration or not. It's about whether you got human decency and you wanna follow the law. There's a process. And I saw a sign that really hit home to me, where one of the protesters who had a sign that said, "You can't be illegal on stolen land." It is true. You built this country illegally on the backs of people that were already here. You came here and claimed some shit, raped, pillaged, and killed people that was already here and took over something somebody already lived on and took it as yours. You an occupier. Yeah, you bought some of these states. You bought Alaska from Russia. The Louisiana Purchase, or some of these things you say you purchased. But they weren't really yours to buy. They weren't the person who sold it to you to buy. You didn't buy them from the indigenous people. So you love to go set up shop somewhere and steal it and tell everybody else what they should or shouldn't do on land that you stole. Like, go figure. That's why you came up with 9/10 of the law. That possession is 9/10 of the law. Why? Because you're thieves. Do you think the person who got their shit stolen decided the law should be 9/10 of the law and that's possession? No, the person who stole it came up with that law. Now you're inciting the violence. I watched an Australian reporter get shot by a rubber bullet. It wasn't collateral damage. You could clearly see the dude take aim and shoot her. You got unhinged people out there alleging to bring the peace when you bring in all the violence. I don't condone any kind of legal activity. The destruction of property, all of that, I ain't with that. That defeats the purpose, and it takes away from your actual cause and point, because nobody's listening to your words when you're destroying shit. They just looking at the damage. And then you give the other side an option to say, see, I told you, they're violent animals. We need to do this because look at how they act. No. Peaceful is the way to be, but you also need to protect yourself. And that's why we didn't go out when all this little protesting started with over the Trump tariffs and all that. Why? Because we knew what would happen. You couldn't wait for us to come out so you could violently attack people of color. And what happened when we didn't come out? There weren't even a police presence in most of these damn rallies and protests that happened, because you won't do that. You don't even look at white people the same. Look what they did at the Capitol. Anybody remember what they did on January 6th? Thinking that response would be anywhere like that if they had been people of color? And yeah, there were some sprinkles around in there. But ultimately, y'all were white Trump supporters that went in there acting an ass with an insurrection. And he told his people, after hours and hours, when you finally did send the National Guard in, they weren't allowed to take weapons. You didn't even want them to take pepper spray. You wanted them to have batons because you specifically said you don't want them to hurt your people. Disgusting. And this is an attack against everybody's rights. While other states and some of these Republicans, y'all hating on California. Wait till he do it to y'all. Wait till he do it to y'all, and y'all sitting there looking stupid. Because this is an attack on everybody's rights. He wants to turn this whole country into a military state. He wants martial law all over the country so he can do what he wants with no pushback. And he'll do it to you. He'll turn this into a third world country. He wants to be a warlord. He don't want to be president. He envies all of these warlords. He wants to be Hitler. He wants to be Adolf Trump. What kind of shit is that where he says his favorite book is Mein Kampf, and then tried to lie on one of his little Fox interviews saying his favorite book is the Bible after years of saying Mein Kampf, that you sleep with it next to your bed. They asked you to name one verse, or what's your favorite verse out the Bible. You couldn't think of one verse. It's a personal thing. It's personal. I don't even know if you ever seen the inside of a Bible. Because if you ever went to a church that was about something, you start boiling. Like the Devil's Advocate movie. But we've seen this in other countries where these dictators, they send the military in to stifle and abuse and assault and put the fear in the public so that he can better force his agenda. And we see how those things go. Is that the reason why y'all decided to leave Cuba? Why you say y'all left Venezuela? But at the same time, you Latinos for Trump, huh? Because y'all thought it wouldn't be you, huh? Just like all these farmers. They mad now. And how you can let these dumbass thoughts in your mind come out to your, like the roadway from your mind to your vocal cords, to your lips, to put out some of this stupid nonsense they saying. I didn't think he was gonna take the immigrants that milk my cows. We're having to milk cows at 4 in the morning. We can't do that. We want our immigrants back. He never told us that he was going to take them. He never told us that he was going to take the immigrants that do some of the hardest work in society, which is this agricultural work, in these blazing heat for hours and hours a day, highly underpaid, without benefits. You didn't tell us that we would have to do this work since the general public is not going to do it and you're not going to pay a wage that could get them to do it. So y'all mad now. You voted for him and didn't give a damn. You were with the hate. But you couldn't think about any further than your damn lips and your nose that who's going to do all this work since you make a living off exploiting cheap-ass immigrant labor? So if you do succeed, since who you're going after right now, you ain't in California going after criminals. You're going into warehouses where people are working. You're going to farms. You're going to Home Depots where who hires these people at Home Depot? People that look like Trump, people that don't look like me. There might be some regular day labor stuff that might happen, but on the most part, on the masses, they getting hired by people like Trump, that look like Trump. So you're not going after criminals. This is like, you thought racial profiling was bad for us blacks. How you decipher an immigrant from not? You just gotta stop them. You look like you might not be legal. Like seriously, y'all something else. And the only reason why this behavior is acceptable to the masses is because you don't think it's you and it ain't happening to people that look like you. But if you had an ounce of human decency and believed in the letter of law and the Constitution and due process, you should have a problem with this. And this is the disconnect that I have with every Trump supporter, is that let's get rid of parties. Where do you stand morally where this behavior is acceptable? And your vote for him tells me exactly where you stand morally. And you might not exhibit no racism or any of that in front of me, but I know what you're thinking and what's going on at home in your dinner table when you're with people you feel comfortable being yourself with. So that lets me know you can't be trusted. Because you're either racist, and you've always hid that because you're one of those who use people for relationships. It's beneficial. So the word is tolerant. So you'll be tolerant even though you hate people, you'll be tolerant. But now you're empowered. Because how can somebody tell you a bad person when the highest level of government, the president, is a horrible person and you act like him? So who's going to tell you you can't have these feelings and things? Trump didn't make America racist. America always been racist. But you done brought everybody out to the forefront to show it's okay. That's the difference in society. And we as a country, right and wrong ain't never changed. What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. You know what's changed? What you cowards will tolerate. So don't tell me anything about your foundational beliefs, because you got none. Because he's the opposite of everything good.